Hey guys, what's going on? Blaine back for another Netflix review, and today I'm going to be talking about All Hail. All Hail is an Argentinian comedy drama that tells the story of Miguel Flores, a famous TV weatherman in Buenos Aires who premieres the first episode of his latest program and predicts clear skies for the following day, but wakes up to find a hailstorm occurred instead, causing massive damage across the city. To get away from the blame that is thrown his way for failing to predict the storm, Miguel travels to Cordoba where his daughter resides and plans to stay there until things blow over, and during his time away from Buenos Aires, he finds himself on a journey towards self-discovery. I wasn't quite sure what to think about this movie at first after having watched it. There are quite a few issues with its presentation, but it also has good messages to tell regarding the pressures of fame and fortune and tying them to a sympathetic main character. In spite of his wealth, Miguel Flores is relatively grounded as a character. He does enjoy the luxuries of his profession to a certain extent, but he mostly just wants to do his job and serve the people in his community, which is a noble goal that helped me become invested in his character. His motivation for doing well in meteorology is also explored in some detail as well. His wife unexpectedly died from a lightning strike, leaving him to work hard so he could get a job in the city and save others from an untimely death at the hands of something that people can't control. While his efforts do pay off financially, it also costs Miguel his relationship with his daughter Carla, who's moved on with her life and pretty much looks at her father as a stranger. Because of this, Miguel has to work harder than ever before so that he can repair his relationship with both his daughter and the general public. With regards to him and his daughter, I thought their dynamic was well done. Both him and Carla have believable reasons for their perspectives on the situation, and that it's not necessarily black or white. Miguel never comes off as a rich, stuck-up snob, but he understands that he's made mistakes and has to make a lot of effort in order to win back trust, and his honesty in this respect makes him more likable. His relationship with the public, however, was a bit more mixed for me. On one hand, I can understand why people are upset with him because his incorrect prediction left people unprepared to deal with the destruction that the hailstorm caused, and the consequences of the storm itself are shown in detail too. But on the other hand, it feels weird that everyone in Buenos Aires would assign blame to one individual. It made me wonder if there were any other weathermen on the air that night that would have made similar predictions, and yet they somehow got away scot-free. There is some social commentary to be found in this instance. It hints toward people being overly obsessed with social media, or media in general, and how people use it to create this image of a perfect human being, or in Miguel's case, the infallible as he's often referred to. The movie does a good job at showing how entitled and unhinged people can be at times toward people they idolize, only for them to turn around and demonize those same people the moment they do something that contradicts their image. The pressures of fame always weighed down on Miguel, and the variety of interactions with people in the movie does keep the story interesting as it moves along. This being said, I still think some of the reactions people have toward Miguel are really strange. Some of the things like threats and name-calling are understandable, but then there are other times when people blame him for the death of their dog or walk right up to him on the street and demand compensation for broken windows in exaggerated fashion. I don't have an issue with a satirical tone if it's pulled off well, but more often than not, it was ridiculous to an excessive degree, and it doesn't help that a lot of the silly scenes are backed by serious music in the background, so I never got a sense of what kind of tone the scene was trying to convey. The movie attempts to connect the struggles of the public to a specific character, a taxi driver whose livelihood is ruined due to the damage inflicted on his car. I can see the direction the filmmakers were going with this character, and he is at least more tolerable to watch compared to some of the other lunatics on screen. But his subplot never ends up being that important in the long run, and it even causes tonal shifts as the movie goes from a dramedy to a quasi-thriller anytime he's on screen. His family members were also a bit of a headache to deal with, as they do bear a large brunt of this movie's comedy. Thankfully, the movie isn't always over the top. There are plenty of times where Miguel gets to have a moment with his thoughts, usually with his pet goldfish Oswaldo. Even though the idea of a man talking to his goldfish sounds weird, it actually ended up being one of my favorite parts, if for nothing else due to the fact that it allows the audience to take a break. The production design in this movie is something to be admired. The movie always looks great, regardless of whether a scene is set on the streets of Cordoba or on the set of Miguel's former weather show. Even the size of Miguel's own house and little details like Andy Warhol style paintings help add to the celebrity and self-image themes of the story. I would have liked to see more of a deeper dive into the apps that characters were always talking about with how they get their information. For some reason, apps are a big buzzword in this movie, and yet they're barely shown outside of a snippet here and there, and exploring them would have added more context to people's reactions against Miguel. By far the most impressive thing about the movie is the ending, which I don't want to say much about so as to avoid spoilers, but it was a ton of fun. The setup for it is kind of weird because Miguel comes to an epiphany that doesn't feel entirely deserved, but after it got going I didn't mind as much. Once this big finale took place, it blew my mind. The special effects used for the scene are awesome, featuring a combination of both practical effects and decent CGI, causing total mayhem for several minutes. It's standard fare for an average Hollywood flick, but with this being a film from Argentina, it was completely unexpected in the best way possible. Overall, All Hail is a decent dramedy that is uneven at times with its drama and comedy, but mostly succeeds in its exploration of the double-edged sword that is fame. If you like movies that feature both comedy and drama, and you want to see one that both has modern social messages behind it and is a little offbeat, I think you might enjoy watching this one. Its tonal shifts can be jarring, and most of the characters are off-putting, but the protagonist and his journey toward redemption help maintain the balance in this regard, and the movie tells a good message about how having blind faith in others is almost never a good idea. What did you think about this movie? Did you enjoy seeing Miguel attempt to restore his reputation, or were you put off by the exaggerated reactions of other characters in it? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways guys, that's going to wrap up my review of All Hail. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always stay tuned for the next part, where next time I review the sci-fi rom-com Moonshot. Bye bye!